In this video, I'm going to talk about how your own personality really matters in terms of how you run your household and why, if you go against it, you end up feeling stressed, ashamed, like a failure, and miserable. Stick around. I'm Rachel Norman. I'm back. I am a routine mentor to lots of mamas. I'm a mama of 5, language of listening parent coach, certified baby and toddler sleep consultant, all the things, and I love talking about routine. And today I want to talk specifically about your personality. So I want to say my first point in this video is that you are how God made you. Yes, with growth, we can become better versions of ourselves, more our true self, I guess, but we're not going to fundamentally change. So if I am more of a type A, high-strung personality, tends to be anxious and worries, I might have some real breakthroughs and become less worried, less anxious, less driven, but I'm never going to just become a super laid-back person, right? That's not fundamentally my temperament. And the opposite, if you're more carefree and free-flowing and you're like, I just want to not be, kind of beaten down by, the confines of my routine or whatever, and you might have some growth and you might become more productive or fruitful in your daily life, but you're not going to just change into a different type of personality. So the first thing that you really have to get on board with is you are how you are. And that's okay, and we need to own that, because if we don't own that, then we'll literally just be walking around trying to create routines for like other women. We're not gonna do this to ourselves, okay? We're gonna work with what we got. So when considering your personality and how that goes with the routines you wanna create for your family, you gotta think, am I type A? Am I type B? Do I like clutter, or do I gather clutter? Or do I like it, to be clutter free? Am I a morning person? Am I a night owl? Am I extroverted? Am I introverted? Am I high strung? Am I low strung? How am I? Just, I don't know, take some of these free personality tests. And if I'm the one that's in charge of the routine, and if I'm watching all the kids throughout the day, or if I'm working, or if I'm the main one in charge of the routine at night, it has to go with how I am. We literally cannot. It'd be like if you absolutely hated cooking and you were horrible at it, but all you allowed yourself to try to cook was like gourmet meals. Like, you would improve in your technique and you would hate your life. Figure out where you're at, and so if you're super introverted, your daily routine with kids doesn't need to have you guys out of the house 5 days a week. It doesn't. Or if you're extroverted, it might. You see where I'm going with this? You need to kind of figure this out. Or if you're more of a night owl, maybe some of the things you need to add into your routine can happen at that later point because you're already going to be awake. So if you're a night owl, you're not going to be like, I'm going to be in bed by 8:30 p.m. on the dot. It's not gonna happen. Then you're gonna feel like a failure, but you already knew it wasn't gonna happen anyway. My third point when I'm talking about creating family routines that fit with your personality is this. Your standards and expectations around yourself and around the routine need to fit your own personality. You need to be realistic, okay? So my expectation for myself, if I'm not used to doing something and I'm a little resistant to doing it, but I know that it's good, it's low. I'm expecting a little bit from myself. And as I meet that and feel comfortable more and more. My mindset coach gave me this illustration of something that's in our comfort zone. And then right outside our comfort zone is a place called a discomfort zone, okay? And that's where it's a challenge, it's a little bit difficult. You feel like you can do it, you're like, it makes you a bit nervous, but it's not too bad. And then outside of that is the panic zone. And this is when you're like, no, I can't do this, that's horrible. So it would be like me being like, I'm gonna go do surgery on somebody. Panic zone. So far out of my zone of comfort and competence, it's gonna make my nervous system go haywire. So we don't wanna be over here in our comfort zone and try to make a routine that's in the panic zone, because we'll panic. If all of this interests you and you know you need to create a family routine for your kids and the family as a whole and your personal routines, then I definitely encourage you to check out my workshop called Family Routines Reboot, which is 3 steps to creating the type of routines that'll help your whole family thrive based on your personality. So if you know that your life's a little bit, out of control and the family routines are either not existent or not working, I encourage you to check it out. The link is in the description. So the fourth point I want to make about our routines and our personality is that if you're the one that's managing the routines and keeping them, then it needs to fit your pace and your ability to carry it out. So you know your capacity, you know what you're capable of doing, you know what you're going to be able to realistically do. You know the point at which your boundary, the point at which you're okay, and when you step outside of it, you lose it. You know what that is. So if you're the one in charge of the kids, if you're the primary parent, the primary caregiver, the one that's watching them all the time, it has to be something you can do. So I often hear from moms who are more laid back, carefree, and their husbands are more type A, and their husbands are wanting their wives to do all of these things, but the husbands aren't doing any of it. They just want their wife to do it. This is a hard spot to be in because you feel like somebody else's personality is driving you to do something that doesn't fit you. So this is its own separate thing you're gonna have to address. But my point is, in saying that is, I wanna validate you that it's hard. And I want to say, if you're the one doing it, you get to decide the standard. I talk about this in my book a lot, If Mama Ain't Happy. But your standards should be your own, and they should fit what you're able to do. Don't let somebody else make you feel bad for your own God-given temperament. And you need to make your own routines in a way that you can keep up, and your standards, right? So yes, we might say maybe you find somebody super inspirational on Instagram that is doing all the things that you wish you could do, and she might literally have her family history might be completely different from yours. Her trauma history, aka the things that happened that weren't good that drive you to be ambitious and do other things. Her personality, so she might literally be the total opposite you in every way. So if you try to adopt her standards as yours, you're always gonna feel not good enough. The comparison game is gonna get you. You're gonna just feel like a failure, and you're gonna get, low-key depressed, or not even low-key, like high-key depressed, you know what I mean? So you just have to be careful who you're looking at and taking inspiration from, so it doesn't become a standard that you're not gonna meet. Or a standard that maybe you could meet, but maybe you don't really care that the standard's that high. So maybe with tidy level of the house. Some people like super tidy, super duper tidy. And some people are like, it can be slightly messy and I'm okay. You don't need to take on the standard of someone who wants it super, super tidy if you don't really care, because guess what? You're not gonna do it. You're not actually gonna keep a super, super tidy house if you don't care. So you need to make sure your standards match your personality as well. So my fifth piece of advice is not to just copy and paste other people's rhythms and routines as your own, but to make them your own. So I have a lot of these on my website, A Mother Far From Home, and in my family routine reboot, we go into a lot more. But when you find what somebody does and you think, oh, that's interesting, you want to tweak it and make it your own. You want to tweak it and make it work for you. So you don't want to take, somebody's 10-step skincare routine. I did this a while back. I was like, I need like a 10-step skincare routine. That's what I need. I mean, by the time I try to put it in my Amazon cart, it's like $600, and I'm like, I don't even know what this, I can't with this. So then I read it up and I realized, okay, well, I need to wash my face. I guess I need to put some anti-aging serum, and I guess I need to put a little moisturizer in. That's just what I'm gonna do. So I took inspiration and I made it my own. When I was trying to do this super robust thing, I hated it. And actually I didn't do it. And then I would see the products there and I'd be like, there's all my retirement sitting in my product drawer waiting to anti-age my face. So now my face is aging and I spent all our money and I'm not even doing this because who's got time to do 10 friggin' steps at the end of the evening? I just want to read my book and go to bed. So my last tip is this. When you focus on your own personality and your own capacity, you actually begin to see what your own boundaries are. And when you live within your own boundaries, you feel peace. You feel at rest. Again, I talk about this in my book, If Mama Ain't Happy. But when you begin to live in that peaceful place, you actually, from that place, you can grow. None of us grow when we're in extreme frustration and stress. So maybe you're a more type A person like myself and tend to be anxious or worried a lot, right? Well, living outside of your boundaries when life is chaotic, you get more stressed and more worried and more anxious. But as you learn to live within those boundaries, you calm down. Your nervous system calms down. You can actually think, do I need to be worried or stressed about this? No, I'm gonna give this to God and I'm not gonna worry about this. You actually inside begin to be more settled. And then from that place, you might even grow in maturity and in, emotional maturity in other ways to where you're changing a little bit. So it could even be that your temperament changes a little bit. Your habits change a little bit. The things that you struggle with, you don't struggle with as much, but you can only do this from a place of acceptance of where you're at and from a place of rest. So as you think about making sure your family life is peaceful enough that you don't always want to escape it and run away, this is like my big purpose and my whole everything that I do here, is that you can enjoy your kids and you're not like wishing away their entire childhood just because you're so stressed. And routines help do that, but they need to take into account you. So I just want you to be encouraged, accept where you're at, and start from there. Be sure to check out my next video.